this looks fun.
It's a medium, not a genre. It's not part-time, it's a lifetime.
Hey guys, Band is back, and looking back on 2024, I'd say that I feel like I've really grown a lot and accomplished a lot through that year. I feel like a pretty impactful year for me, and I hope that 2025 can offer that same effort. But since 2024 is out of our hands now, I'd like to look back on that year, specifically through the movies I've seen. And so I will be ranking the movies I've seen from what's the best that came out this year. So first I want to lay some rules here. First off, I'm not going to be including any live music events like the Beyonce event from a bit ago and the Usher one. So those aren't going to be included, and I'm also not going to include TV episodes turned into a movie. So no Dragon Ball Daima dub showing. But also I'm not going to include the Moana 2 movie, since it was originally TV episodes. It did get turned into a movie despite it not being advertised that way. So with that being said, let's get this started. Also, Palestine could use some love. Thanks to my special theater employee pass for my job of working at my local theater, I am able to see all these movies without having to give any of my money to these stinky corporations. Let's go. So, starting off this list of 42 movies, we have Borderlands. Yeah, I was not really having it with this movie. I just could not get immersed in the world. The characters feel very just put together for the sake of fans. I don't even play the games, and I can just tell this is very disappointing. Not really funny with all the jokes it tries to dwell. I just feel like I just had a blank reaction during the entire movie. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Captain Laserhawk had a better team dynamic than this movie does. So with that being said, we're on to number 41, Spellbound. This movie I don't think really works. It's really not looking good for Skydance Animations. If this and Luck are the first movies to come out of them, they're really getting traction. With this movie, it's not really. I think I might like it less than Luck. It has some pretty unmemorable music. The climax song really doesn't work. In general, the main issue in the movie doesn't work. Having this special having anger and negative emotions and such be put into and portrayed as just a black orb, as if all that type of sad negativity is all the same. Honestly, really underlayers the focal point of the movie, which is kind of going through a divorce, and it from personal experience I'll just say that it's not really it's a bit more layered than what the movie presents it as, and that on that merit I just cannot respect this movie, and I have to hope that they put out a better output, I guess. We'll see. So next is the Sandy SpongeBob movie. Kind of similar to Spellbound, except without the divorce stuff. But with this movie, it's just not very entertaining. I guess visually it is pretty appealing, but character-wise, story-wise, and comedy-wise, it's just not really working out. And modern SpongeBob can have some pretty cool little moments. It can be pretty entertaining and stuff. Just this definitely isn't one of the highlights to it. Next is Madame Web. Yeah, this movie is pretty like not super great. I do feel bad because you can see the part where this could work. It's just some weird studio stuff which made it so stuff just went sour. I might as well also mention a lot of people say that Dakota Johnson's performance is like the funniest thing in this movie. And while I do agree, I have to say that main villain's rough ADR would have to be like much like funnier. In my opinion, it was closer to making me crack up, but doesn't change that this movie isn't super great. We have left the tier of the worst. So next up is what I would consider the subpar, I guess, starting with Hail the Purple Crayon. With this movie, like it's definitely one which, of course, is a bit sour from like all the weird stuff which is coming out with Zachary Levi, but along with that, this movie is kind of, it does open my eyes to just how dumb this movie can feel. Like its humor is just pretty like lowest common denominator-ish, I guess, and while what's saving it is like the 2D animation at the beginning and a little bit at the end. I'm a big fan of that stuff. I just can't with really so I guess the villain is kind of entertaining, but once again, it just does feel like a pretty dumb movie and such. There's just something about which just rubbed me the wrong way. So with that being said, let's move on to The Tiger's Apprentice. Gosh, I really wish Zoo wasn't accompanied on this like movie. He is too talented. He has such a too good of a voice for this. Anyway, so this movie is also like pretty lame. It does feel like the story has been done before, the character's been done before, but and this isn't really like done in a way which makes it like really nuanced. It just feels like pretty standard stuff, and I just feel like we've moved as like creators so much like that what this movie offers just really isn't enough like really make it that big of an impression. From what I heard, it was aiming for something big, but just something bad happened to this movie or something which may like end up just being a little plain. Deadpool and Wolverine. Yep. During work, I would ask different guests what their favorite movie of 2024 was, and the majority of them, by a decent amount, chose Deadpool and Wolverine. Like I hear tons and tons of people saying how this movie is like really great and like one of the best things that come out this year. And after seeing it eventually, I just can't really see it. I've just never really been that big on fourth wall jokes, the like more juvenile like humor of associated with the Deadpool movies. And while I thought like the story, like how it worked with the multiverse was kind of interesting, it just wasn't really enough to get past. Like I just can't really like get into the humor of these movies. There were moments which did make me like chuckle some, but and I guess I can see like how I can like get like other like appeal, but it's just not for me. Like I just can't. But what I can a little more, I guess, is Venom, Last Dance. And this movie was probably also another like pretty dumb movie. I can definitely see like how the Venom movies are both loved by multiple people and also despised by another group. But yeah, I just find them okay. This one like gives the Venom people what they want, silly Venom stuff, some spooky edgy stuff. And I guess it was it kind of after all the stuff that Venom and Eddie Brock did together, because they're basically a couple. I thought the like way that they like separated stuff, I feel like it was somewhat well handled considering all the time we see them spend together. So that's how it's over here. It's just another silly dumb movie, but it's better than the other previously talked about silly dumb movies. So next is what I consider like basically the middle of the movies. That would have to be the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Yeah, I forgot that this movie even existed for like for like a little bit before I decided to make this list. And so even my dad forgot about it. He was like a big Ghostbusters fan, which is, I don't know, this movie isn't bad at all. It looks cool. Using ice as like a type of way to like handle horror is one that I do like quite a bit, but just nothing really to stand out. I like how it used practical effects, even though I'm not like so like protective of that type of work. But I mean, it just doesn't really have like anything too outstanding for me to jump on. Just a cool spooky movie with some cool action. Taika Waititi's there doing his usual stuff. And with that being said, let's move on to the next one. So at number 33 we have the greatest Christmas pageant ever. I was kind of expecting like a sort of classic Christmas movie vibe from this, similar to like The Christmas Story and Elf. It's pretty low key, like it's a very small like scale story, of course, but being all Christmassy. And I mean, it was cute. It's just not really my type of, not really the type of movie I'd really go out to see. I was just curious about it, and there isn't really inherently anything wrong with it. It's just cute and all. Anyway, on to number 22, the Casagrandes movie. There was a phase in my life which I was a little bit like really enjoying the Casagrandes. It feels a little awkward to think about now, considering I'm not really nearly as interested in it, and not just because it's like can't done it all. With this movie, I mean, it looks nice. I liked it more about. I thought it was much better than the first like Loud House movie, but yeah, this movie does jump the shark a bit. It is what like a lot of people were saying about it, but the original Casagrandes show did delve into like weird, like magical territories before, just not to this scale. It's a fine movie. Like the kids will enjoy it, and maybe like Loud House fans in general will enjoy it. This movie is like mainly for those fans. It's hard to really sell it much to like newer viewers, even though I think they'd still enjoy it. It's just an okay movie. So with that being said, 31 is Red One. It's basically like exactly what the like trailers present. It features Dwayne The Rock Johnson saving Christmas in the most epic way he can. So yeah, once again, simple stuff. Let's go on to the next one. At number 30 we have Kung Fu Panda. Once again, it's a pretty fun little action adventure. Not as good as like the previous three, but there can still be some fun to be had here. Especially knowing just how weird the movie could have turned out if you know the behind the scenes. But yeah, the new like upcoming Dragon Warrior character isn't super unique or anything, but I mean they can be like entertaining. The main villain, whose design I really like, could definitely be better and her powers be utilized more, but I mean, what am I saying? It's just there's just something like a little charming about the series in general, which I won't say like makes like the problems like inherently unavoidable, because would be weird to think, but I mean I just found it like kind of fun and all, just nothing like too crazy. So at number 29 we have the American Society of Magical People. And for this movie I have not heard like literally anyone talk about it. All I know is that it has like bad reviews, and I never like seen anyone like really say anything about it online or anything. So then I have to do what comic creators do and think of my own stuff and not use any outside sources of views in order into my anyway. So this movie is I mean it was fine. I mean like the whole situation with race, the way how the movie ended probably is like a little, probably is like too like cutesy or like too like fantastical. Maybe it's not super realistic to that. Well, the movie doesn't really have to be when it's setting up its own world. The acting was fine. This whole like plot, like the main character like trying to balance finding love, but also trying to be like this black person, like role person, which this movie interprets. But yeah, it's kind of a weird one. It's definitely does at least feel unique for a movie like this, but that being said, it's fine. And overall, in the end, it's fine. So next on the list, and the last movie I saw this year that's brand new, would have to be Mufasa. Mufasa at number 28 is definitely a flawed movie. Like the plot, there's a bunch of different controversies. Like there's this whole situation where like one of Scar's Taka's like big influences to being bad is like having his queen stolen, even though we aren't really shown any like big reason why he would really feel any infatuation for Sarabi. But with that being said, the reason it's this high is because I gotta admit the music's really good. Lin-Manuel Miranda kind of cooked with this, and yeah, there were a lot of songs on the soundtrack which actually do sound pretty nice. Not gonna say that they're like a regular, like original Lion King standard, but I really enjoyed them, and you can listen to them. But if anything from this movie, I'd recommend listening to the soundtrack, even if it's like even if it's not in like a natural way, if you know what I mean. Anyway, with that being said, number 27 is If. You can just watch my review on that, which I released earlier in the year. And number 26 is God and Kong. Number 26 is Godzilla vs. Kong, New Empire. As someone who is like was a very, very loose fan of the Godzilla and Kong like stuff, I have to say that this movie was really enjoyable. I have not seen like the Godzilla movie prior. Though like the Kong Skull Island, I thought was a really, really good film and all. And this movie was really fun. Like the surprises were fun. It had some cool action. The locations were pretty vibrant. I think it's funny how we had like two movies with which involve freezing a beach around the same time frame. This one and Ghostbusters one. And with that being said, these movies are really good. But my favorite thing Godzilla related that came out this year would have to be the recent Friday Night Funkin' mod update. Anyway, next is That Christmas, the Netflix movie at number 25. This movie is pretty interesting because I do like how like it interprets how it like really emphasizes the presence of the family and friends you make along the way, with barely having any of the like Santa Claus that was marketed, or the like reindeer who you'd imagine like with a different script would like be in law of the movie. The reindeer would talk like arguably too much. And with that being said, I thought it was cool how like even though like Santa like got the presents for all these guys, it wasn't able to like fix like their like problems and stuff. They had to do that as a family, and those presents they received were kind of like just props. So yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting in that field. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's like an amazing film, but for what it is, it's pretty interesting, and I think Locksmith has a pretty like interesting future ahead of them. So good luck with that. So as a gateway to the really good movies that I saw this year, I would have to go with Despicable Me 4 at number 24. A lot of people say this movie is kind of complicated with too much going on, but I kind of like when movies are complicated with a lot going on. So, humor is actually pretty fun. The visuals, while not anything too groundbreaking, are pretty enjoyable, and it's just in general, it's just a fun movie, like watch for the summer as a family, all that stuff. While also like alone, if you're like a grown man alone. I'm sure this movie is also really fun. So, and with that being said, next up is The Imaginary, number 23. I saw that one, and I made a video on it already. I'm sure it's visually cool and has some interesting themes. And after that is Furiosa. I haven't seen much of Mad Max before Fury Road, but Fury Road was pretty great, so I was looking forward to this movie, and this movie doesn't disappoint. It has like pretty cool like action, really good acting performances, and in general, the whole vibe of these movies is so like well defined. It's just a really engaging world to explore in the art of fiction and all. And next up is Argyle at number 21. A lot of people say similar things about Argyle with Despicable Me 4, but people seem to have a bigger issue with it in the Argyle, because unlike Despicable Me 4, the Argyle is actually trying to like really tell like a super like important like complex story, something that's supposed to be like taken more seriously than the one in Despicable Me 4. It is PG-13 after all. And with that being said, like I said, I do like a little bit of complicated, so I thought the movie was kind of fun. There is a lot going on in this movie, and it does have like a little like misinterpretation scene, which is pretty grown-worthy. I saw someone leave the theater, and from the sound of it, it was at that exact scene. But what can I say? It was just kind of a fun ride. It was kind of like just goofy and enjoyable. And as someone who's only like seen one Kingsman movie, these movies appear to like really hone in on the like whole like goofy actionness, pretty entertainingly, and I think it's a movie worth watching. So now we're in the top 20. And starting off the top 20, we have the movie Beetlejuice. You'd probably noticed by now, as far as into this list as we are, that I don't have any horror entries there. And you'd probably think it's because I'm just such a big fan of horror that's on the top 20. Well, the truth is that is wrong. It's because I don't like horror movies. I haven't seen really any of them this year. They scare me, they make me jump. I'm just a really jumpy person in general. Don't at me. And so with this movie, I saw the first one the night before, and I thought it was pretty enjoyable, pretty entertaining and all. And I saw this one, not really knowing what to expect, and I thought it did a really good job at keeping up the same energy as the first one, despite being made so long ago. Like good like comedy, really cool practical effects, despite that not being a huge priority to me in film, and also like some like pretty spooky as well, but not in a way that like too bad like it make me like avoid wanting to see this movie and all. But I thought the movie was really enjoyable, and I'd recommend anyone who hasn't seen it yet to see it soon. After that, at number 19, we have Monkey Man. The movie was super cool. I haven't really seen too many of the John Wick adjacent films. The only John Wick film I've seen is the third one. But I thought this movie was like really cool, and I thought like the way how it like highlights the world of India is pretty engaging, And it makes like the main character was had a pretty engaging story to follow. Really dark, but also really, but not like too much that like takes you out of it. And I just thought it was a really cool film. I'm really glad I watched it, despite not being entirely my cup of tea. And number 18, we have Ghost, Cat, and Zoo. This movie was very visually pretty, very unique style. Had a pretty interesting story involving the yokai, the humans, and I thought in general it was just a pretty fun, nice film. Not anything I mean it's good enough to be up here, but the movie also feels like it's kind of smaller in scale, and I think that works in the movie's favor, despite like kind of a big thing happening in it. It feels both big and small, and I think it's cool when a film can like provide that type of feeling. So at number 17 we have Ultraman Rising. As someone who isn't really a fan of Ultraman or babysitting stories, I found this movie pretty cool. Like the action was nice, visually it's very, very appealing, with a bunch of cool colors and stuff. And they just felt like the whole like arc that the main character goes through was well set up and felt really satisfying to follow. So that's something really good about this film. At number 16, Dune 2. I really like Dune 1, and Dune 2 is basically that, but like even more and much bigger. The villain was really cool. Like how like the story felt like pretty engaging. The visuals were like really, really interesting. And yeah, I'm pretty interested in where the movies are gonna go next, as someone who's never read the books. Next at number 15 is Spy Family White. I've never seen like the Spy Family show, but I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It was really action packed, it was funny, it was romantic, and I don't really even get into romances that much, but I found that aspect pretty strong about this film, and it was overall just a really enjoyable film to watch, and it didn't feel like I needed to like get any context from the show, because I think the movie did a good job at like providing me with the important stuff. At number 14 we have Piece by Piece. As someone who really likes Pharrell Williams and Legos, this sounds like a match made in heaven for me for the movie. And yeah, it was really, really good. Like the visuals were really appealing. Like it used the medium of animation and Legos pretty well to make Pharrell's world seem colorful and stuff. And I just found the movie like just like really cool, like with its integration of how Pharrell, like hearing Pharrell's story in this manner, like getting all these different like music artists to like record their like reactions and interviews and put them into the movie without them even knowing they're gonna be Lego sonaed. That was something which made the movie very appealing, and I would recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it yet, or even anyone who isn't like a fan of like Pharrell, because it's still pretty interesting. So at number 13 we have Hit Pig. I already made a video on this movie, but I just gotta say, how did I forget that Charlie Adler's character was a lobster instead of a shrimp? Like, come on, it's Charlie Adler, he deserves more than this. I mean, at least his character does. At number 12 we have Sonic 3. Yeah, this movie is definitely better than the last few Sonic movies. Tells a really engaging story. Never really like looked into Sonic Adventure 2, but this story, even like without knowing that, felt really satisfying to follow. Like new characters like Shadow were like had really engaging like complexes to them. Like Sonic goes through like a really like an interesting phase, and I feel like it makes me like really curious about like what the next movie is gonna involve. I feel like it's gonna be pretty cool, maybe even better. And at number 11 we have Only Love. I have been a huge fan of Bob Marley since I was young, and I thought this movie did a great job of like telling me like what really makes him like special, at least on the specific album it covers. And with that, um, yeah, the music, of course, the music is really good. The like person playing him in the movie is pretty engaging, and like it's a very simple story, but it feels like pretty, like it supports him well. And I just can't believe that he died at 35. Like like his legacy is like was so big, but yet he didn't live on Earth for nearly as long. Well, that's magic, I guess. Now we're starting with the top 10 with Look Back. Look Back is very visually appealing and has a great like story on like art and being an artist of any medium. As someone who is an artist of some mediums, I found the movie pretty impactful, and it was even pretty emotional, like at the parts where it mattered the most. And I would recommend this movie to anyone who hasn't seen it. It's a very memorable experience. At number 9 we have Wicked. Wicked is a musical, and I love musicals before. Despite not being like the most like intricately directed, it is a really like engaging. I do enjoy the general story. The performances are really great. The music and performers are really appealing. And I'm really excited for the second part of the movie. And before you ask, I actually have seen the like stage play for the original Wicked, though not too long ago. But even without that, this movie is still like really good. And yeah, number 8 is Inside Out 2. Actually better than the first one, and I liked the first one a decent amount. The exploration of different emotions was pretty cool, and I thought that like how it affected Riley was pretty interesting. So yeah, there's that movie, and also there's some funny moments. So at number 7, we have My Hero Academia. You're next. This movie kind of came out at the perfect time. For a while now, I haven't really been getting too much into My Hero, but just recently, I just started binging the show for some reason. I just really found the like story engaging. I just really was enjoying the characters, despite the visuals not always being super consistent. When they are super good, it's just like pretty. In general, I just been really enjoying the show. And with that being said, this movie does a good job of like really highlighting season 6's world. Like in the context of season 6, this movie feels pretty engaging. And like the new characters were cool, the visuals were really cool, and in general, it's just a really fun time. And I would highly recommend it. And number 6, we have the Garfield movie. This might be one of the most concerning things on this list, concerning placements on this list. I'm aware that a lot of people don't really enjoy this film for not exactly being one which really like speaks Garfield. If you give it to a different character, people won't be asking, hey, isn't this movie supposed to feature Garfield? It sounds like a Garfield movie. But in that sense, I don't really mind when a film like has like a story like this. I just really mind the like execution, how Garfield's jokes works into this film, and I think they're pretty enjoyable. I found this movie pretty funny. I thought it was pretty fun. The like most of the stuff feels a little tacked on, but I mean it does its job, and visually this movie is like super appealing to me. I love like the like warm colors, like the different emphasis on like different text and stuff, and I just find it a really fun movie, and I hope I'm not the only one. I feel so lonely. Now we're in the top 5, starting with Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim. As someone who's a pretty decent fan of Lord of the Rings, even watched all the Hobbit movies, just never really read the books, I found this movie pretty engaging. It's been a while since a movie has like made me like really care for like a character's like passing on. And this movie just has like a pretty engaging story with it to me. A lot of people say that the story is like pretty too basic, especially compared to like a world as big as Lord of the Rings. But I kind of like when, like when there's like a huge world, and like a huge massive world like Middle Earth, and there's like a smaller story within it, one which doesn't really focus on like the like different creatures, but more feels more human stuff. And I just found that pretty engaging, even if it is like the like most like outlandish like plot existence. But visually the movie looks pretty great, even if the animation can be pretty like uneven. And I just found it like I just found the movie pretty engaging. I don't really know what else to say. There was just a real like feeling to it. And I'm actually pretty glad they released it in like winter, like because I find that it definitely feels like a winter movie, especially with all the snow. But so that's for that movie. Number 4 is Transformers 1. One of the reasons I like really wanted to see this movie, despite the trailer looking okay, is that last year my favorite movie was actually the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie, despite the fact that I'm not really into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And with the Transformers movie, I never really been into Transformers really that much. I was kind of hoping I could come into it with the same vibe. And while obviously this movie is my favorite one of the year, it's still really great. Like the movie has some like great action and really great character development, and it just felt so cool. Like in this world like felt so like engaging and stuff. And even though the movie didn't like make the biggest amount of like budget didn't get a big amount of its budget back, I still like hope that I can still like have a like feature sequel, because I'd like to see more of this world if possible. At number 3, we have Mean Girls 2024. That's like technically the first movie I saw this year. This movie was really great. I don't make like, it's not that often I make a YouTube video on the movies as like recent as that one was at the time. But this movie was just super enjoyable, really funny, really enjoyable characters. Never watched the first Mean Girls, but I'm sure I don't think I'm gonna like it as much because this is a musical. I really like the musical elements in this movie. I haven't seen the stage play, the actual Mean Girls like stage play musical, but I really like how the songs were like interpreted into this film. Like all the different performances were great. I really like the filmography in it. It feels so defining and has a lot of confidence in it. And I just found like the movie just really entertaining. Like I did not have a problem with watching it twice. And that's all that I can really say. It's just a really enjoyable film, and I was really glad that I got to see it. After that is The Concierge. Oh my gosh, I do not know how to describe just how excited I was to see this movie. Ever since I saw the first trailer for it, I was just like, oh my gosh, I gotta see that. It looks so appealing. And for a while now, couldn't figure out how to like find it, how to get to it. But then one day this year, there was an opening at one of the like theaters in the establishment that I work at, and in order to go to this movie, I made sure that I had nothing else planned. I made sure that I didn't have like work that day, and I never like try and miss a day of work to go and see a movie. And after we went there, we drove all the way there. We sat down, we watched it, and it was beautiful. Visually, the movie is really good. It's like really appealing to me, and it has a really good story. I just felt myself getting engaged with the main character so much. Like, I just couldn't help but I actually cried at the end during this like big speech that the like main character gave about their influences in their hopes and dreams and stuff. And yeah, what else could possibly be there? So, my favorite movie of this year would have to be The Wild Robot. This movie was such an engaging experience with very beautiful interactions, very beautiful scenery, and the characters were really great, the performances were really great. The story felt mature but also really appealing to so anyone can really watch it. Even though it's not like a movie effect, but I still don't really mind because I'm thinking so much about how good this movie is. So many different characters, and it does a good job of making them feel important in some way. It helps the overall threat of the movie feels really, it's just a really engaging film. It really puts you into this world, and I can see how people can say it can compare it to Miyazaki because it kind of feels like it's going for that similar flair. And I am pretty excited for what the next movies could come out with. There's very few films that I generally hoped would get a sequel as much as this one would, but one's in the making right now, and I'm pretty interested. Hey, so that's the list. 2024 had some pretty interesting choices of media, from different music, different games, and different individual shows. But next up is 2025. Who knows what we could get in this new world which we're going into. But all I gotta say is just stay safe, and you're gonna be seeing this artist later. I go in, out, do real slow, baby you a star, strike, pose. When I'm with you, everything goes. Coming with that on my soul. Worry, crown, wrist, froze, drip, pound on the way home. This world, concrete flowers grow. Heartache, she only doing what she know.